Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Sit down. You're cutting in my time. Safe is the new risky. Everything we were taught, everything we believed for many, many years, probably what you were programmed with since you were a child, the safe way to create a living, a lifestyle, to get a job, to work a job, to build wealth, today is probably the riskiest thing in the world because all the rules have changed. My mother, I grew up in Madison, Wisconsin. Badgers, yeah. Single mother who raised 3 kids by herself. She did this knocking on doors, selling Avon. And I mean, this is back in the day when you literally were knocking on doors. It's not like today where it might be a gal works at an office and she takes a catalog and shares with her friends at work. No, my mother knocked on doors to raise 3 kids by herself. And you know what she told me and my brother and my sister? Go to school, get an education, and get a job for a big company, and you'll be set for life. Yeah, whoops. That's it. Whoops. And of course, fortunately, you could tell, you've heard from the introduction already, I'm a high school dropout, so you know I didn't follow that advice. Now, the truth is I didn't have a choice, because to say I'm a high school dropout is kind of gilding the lily, since I was actually expelled from high school in the 9th grade. From Madison West Senior High. Did you go there? Okay, all right. So, but my mother was telling me the best that she knew, right? And I tell you, there were millions of mothers and fathers all over America and all over the world who were telling their kids the same thing. Go to school, get an education, get a job for a big company. And of course, the big companies are like General Motors. And that was the thing, man. If you got a job for GM, you were set for life. At least that's what we thought. Fast forward today, I was reading something that's way, way back in maybe 10 years ago or 12 years ago. General Motors had laid off more people than any company in the history of the world. And, you know, that's a very cyclical business, the car business. It's, you know, they might lay off 40,000 this quarter, and then 2 quarters later, they'll hire them back, and, you know, last in, first fired, and first fired, last out, or, you know, whatever their little seniority sequence is. That's just the nature of the business. Certainly, the way we thought to get rich, the times have changed. Nowhere did this become more apparent to me than when I was in Phuket, Thailand. And I was there doing something from my bucket list, you know, the list you make of things you want to do before you die. So one of the things I wanted to do before I died was to ride an elephant. So I go to Phuket, Thailand with a bunch of my friends, and we go there to ride elephants in the rainforest at this eco preserve there. And we had a big group, and they said, well, we don't have enough elephants for all of you guys, but here's what we want you to do. We're going to split you in half. Half of you will ride the elephants right now, and the other half go over and see the monkey training show. And then we'll switch. Like, the monkey training show, you know what? So we go and see. Here's what the deal is. They train monkeys to harvest coconuts from the palm trees. So if you have a monkey in Thailand, you send them to monkey training school. It costs about $300. And then what they've done is they have set up, all these palm trees have a big cable that goes to the top of the palm tree. And the monkey climbs to there. They put one hand and one foot on the cable, and then they take the other hand and the other foot, and they spin the coconut around enough times till it drops to the ground. And after about 2 or 3 months, they trained them, and now they go and they send them out to these plantations, and they pick coconuts all day long. Pennies. The owners make what we would consider pennies, which would be a very, a decent amount of money in Thailand. Now, some of you guys flew here. Some of you flew here on American Airlines. You don't think American Airlines is looking at those monkey school and thinking, wait a minute. Could we replace those flight attendants with monkeys, you think? You don't think there's somebody in Dallas thinking that right now? Take it further. I come home, I stop in San Francisco, break up, it's a long haul, 20 hours or something. So I schedule a night in San Francisco, sightsee, break up, and then I fly because I live in Miami. Stay there the night, wake up the next day. I go to the airport lounge. There's a couple with this adorable baby puppy. Now, I love all animals. So, of course, I'm like, hey, can I, play with the puppy? And it's, sure, come on. He's cloned. I'm like, what? They said, yeah, we're bringing him home. We just picked him up from South Korea. He's cloned. We gave the cells or whatever they do from our dog that was dying, and we, well, I don't believe this for a second, because this is the most adorable, playful puppy like you have ever seen anywhere. Then it turns out they're on the same flight home from me, and they're also sitting in first class. And the guy takes the little carrier with the puppy, and he goes back to the back of the plane like 2 or 3 times, and he's talking with people, and he's coming back. And then I get off the plane, and there's all these camera crews, and they're waiting for these guys and their puppy. Because the puppy really is cloned. And it wasn't the first puppy that had been cloned. It was just the first puppy in the United States. And the next morning, on the front page of the Miami Herald, there's the picture of this puppy that I'd been playing with. Now, we can debate the moral and the ethical implications of cloning for decades, and we probably will be. But that doesn't change the fact it's here. It's happening. They've cloned sheep, and they've cloned camels, and they've cloned horses, and what they're doing with stem cell research with humans. Who knows where this is going to go? But here's what I do know. The economic model we have is broken. It doesn't work anymore. To grow up, get an education, work for a big job, right? Big company. It doesn't work. I came here on a plane with a ticket purchased. I'm the last person left on earth, perhaps, who has a travel agent. I'm kind of embarrassed to admit it, but I really do. I have a travel agent. I have the same travel agent that I had 30 years ago. That's how long I've had this travel agent. Now, it's funny, when I first started going to her, she had an office with 6 or 7 people working in it. They all had a desk, and they all had those phones with the 5-button lines that flashed, and they'd all be sitting at their desk and answering phones, and people would be sitting there, and they'd be booking cruises and booking vacations and things. Now, she works out of her home. She has an assistant who helps her answer the phone now and then. Those other 5 or 6 jobs that used to work for her, they don't exist anymore. They've been replaced by technology. Video stores, right? I live in South Beach. We had one of the coolest video stores in the world. One of those, they did all the art house films and the cool films and the documentaries. They had 100,000 titles. It's a neighborhood store. It wasn't a chain. And I don't watch many video, but I'd go in now and then. So I might get in once or twice a year. So I go in, and it's like half the store is gone. And there's like things on the floor where the shelves used to be. There's a guy working behind the counter. I'm like, dude, what's going on? And he's like, don't you know? Nobody goes to the video store anymore. They get them from their cable company. They watch them online. They stream them, download. Oh, I never really, yeah. So it used to be 5, 6 guys working in that video store. Now there was one. Those other 5 positions, they're gone forever. I go back a month later to eat lunch at a little restaurant next door. There's paper all over the windows. The store is completely closed down. So the last job left in the video store is gone forever. That's the disruptive technology Rand was talking about last session, right? When disruptive stuff happens, like technology, it changes the whole playing field. So everything has changed. So you look at this and you say, and if you work for one of those big companies right now, you have a target on your back. And the longer you have worked for that company, the bigger that target is. Because all the rules have gone upside down. It used to be, you could say with pride, I have worked for this company for 32 years. And you were honored for that. You were celebrated for that. You know what happens today? They say, he's been here 32 years. You know what we're paying for health care for this guy? And insurance and vacation pay? Isn't there some kid we could hire that just got out of school who'd work for half his salary and get 2 weeks vacation instead of, 12 weeks vacation? And less health care and less benefits and less this and less that. And the longer you have worked for that company, the bigger the target on your back. Safe is the new risky. You want to create wealth today, you have to take charge of your own economy. You have to create your own prosperity. You have to be the boss. Now, he was talking even this morning, he was talking about, the negative news in the economy and all that. This year is the best year I've ever had. It's better than last year, which was the last best year I ever had, which was better than the year before, which up to that point was the best year I've ever had. I've had the best year I've ever had for about 17 years in a row. I'm on a vicious cycle of prosperity. And you know why? Because I don't outsource my prosperity to the economy, the government, the news network, the data sphere, the perception. I don't care what that economy is. I make my own economy, and you have to make your own economy. So next time someone says, what are you doing about the recession? What are you doing about the economic downturn? What are you doing? You say, I choose not to participate in it. That's my mantra. I choose not to participate in that stuff. Because here's what we know. For every challenge, there is a corresponding opportunity. We know some of the greatest wealth created in the last century was created during the Great Depression. And whatever the biggest challenge you can find offers the biggest opportunity that you could find. The real estate bubble. Oh, it's collapsing all. Reading the paper a couple of months ago, there's a guy, you know what he does? He goes and he buys foreclosed homes from the banks, and he sells them back to the owner that they're foreclosing on. So the guy buys a house, right? He bought it at the peak of the market. It was valued at $250,000. What's it valued today? 110 or something like that. What does the bank sell it for? 30, 40, whatever. So this guy, and they're telling the guy, okay, yeah, you can't pay the mortgage, we're throwing you out of your house, right? But they're still in there while these proceedings are going on. So this guy goes and buys the house for $40,000, let's say, from the bank. Then he calls you up, who's being foreclosed on, and says, how'd you like to keep your house? How about if I resell it back to you for $80,000? Because the $80,000 is now a payment that you could afford and you could stay in your house. And they say, wow, that's great. We don't have to disrupt the family. We don't have to move the kids. We don't have to change school. And we can keep our house and start to build equity again and restore our credit and still live in our dream home. And this guy makes $40,000 without ever even really taking possession of the property. Is that ingenious? It's just an opportunity created by a challenge. All prosperity is a value for value equation. And prosperity is infinite. All true prosperity is infinite. Because remember, money is just a meme, a mind virus. A mind virus is something you get programmed. You get infected with the virus, just like your computer on the hard drive gets infected. Your mind gets infected with the virus. There's mind viruses going around all the time. This was the source of, the topic of my last book. What are all the mind viruses about? Money is bad. Rich people are evil. It's spiritual to be poor. It's noble to be poor. Those are just mind viruses. We get infected by organized religion is one of the guiltiest parties. Governments are one of the guiltiest parties. And of course, what I call the data sphere. TV, radio, internet, movies, newspapers, magazines, email chains, social media sites. They're just infecting you with these mind viruses. Well, money, if you see this $100 bill, this is just a mind virus. This has no intrinsic, inherent value in and of itself. It's just, particularly in the United States, because there's not, back in 1971, President Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. At that point, money still had a value because there was a corresponding value of gold in Fort Knox. The day that changed, this became worthless. So the government says, this is worth $100. But what's the truth? There's 10% inflation. Now it's worth 90 cents. Another 10%, it's worth 80 cents. Now we're going to adjust the consumer price index because the inflation is going too far, and now we don't want people to know how much it really costs to live. So we'll take out things like bread and milk and eggs and gasoline and things that people buy all the time, and we'll replace them with cars or rakes or lawn blowers or whatever things so that and now we lose another 10% and another 10%, and then that's the real value of that. It's worthless. Now, of course, I'm hoping somebody this weekend is going to do a session on precious metals, gold, silver, platinum, because that's the only real form of payment in the world. Because that is that can't be done on a printing press. So true prosperity is a value for value exchange. The more value you create, the more prosperity you're going to attract. And the bigger the challenges are, the greater the opportunities for your prosperity. So, but you've got to change your thinking. You've got to stop saying, okay, well, they say it's a bad economy. They say it's a tough time, or I should go to school, or I got to work for a big company, or you got to know somebody, or you got to have money, or No. All the rules are changed. You take Microsoft, right? One of the biggest, companies in the world, worth billions and billions of dollars, right? This was started by a couple of college dropouts in their dorm room. And you know what? Right now, In some college dorm room somewhere else, there's a couple of kids with nothing but a couple of empty pizza boxes that have the next idea that will make Windows obsolete. That's just the nature of technology. So what are you going to do? Let's talk practical application. What am I going to recommend for you tonight? Well, I'm going to recommend there's 3 business models I think are absolutely delicious because they allow us the opportunity to create leverage. And leverage is where real wealth is created. Leverage is how a guy who was expelled from high school could become a multimillionaire. See, there were no corporations recruiting me. There was nobody offering me a company car and a health plan and a corner office and all of those handcuffs that they put people in to get them in a cubicle somewhere. I didn't have those opportunities. All I had was this fervent wish, this vision that I would be rich. Now, why did I have that vision? Because I hated being broke. I was broke for 30 years. You ever see those people on TV? They're being interviewed. They're like, yes, we were poor, but we didn't know it. Really? Because I was poor and I knew it. And I hated it. Poverty sucks. Safe is the new risky. Forget that economic model is broken. The new model is take charge of your own prosperity and do it today. Peace. I love you guys. Thanks.
Gage!